Charlie with his linguini charting. He loses sometimes, but hardly. He's BTC Charlie. But now he's GBP Charlie. It doesn't matter what he's charting. His trading is tough, but it's not all that bad with Charlie. He's got memes in the morning and more in the evening. It's Charlie. And when trading gets hard and support starts to lean, search Charlie. Charlie with his linguini charting. He loses sometimes, but hardly. He's BTC Charlie. But now he's GBP Charlie. It doesn't matter what he's charting. His trading is tough, but it's not all that bad with Charlie. He's got memes in the morning and more in the evening. It's Charlie. And when trading gets hard and support starts to lean, search Charlie.
Well, hello. How is everyone? Are you respecting and enjoying the pump? Let's get some nice piano vibes on, shall we? I've not quite mastered that transition yet. I'll have to ask Scott Melker for some DJing tips. Good morning. I am tip top. Thank you very much, Cray. Yeah, bruv. He's not looking good, bruv. It's not the best accent ever, is it? Let's be honest. Oh no, now you all realise that I don't have a YouTube Prime subscription or whatever the hell it's called. And I just leech. Chilling. Lovely. Duck poo coins, since I can't swear. Yeah, apologies for that. The Streamlabs thing doesn't even ban people. I don't think I've modded it, and I need to. Chilling. Nice. So what's everyone's view on the market at the moment? Is it a big scam? Is this the final exit pump? Is retail back because Doge moved like 10%? Did anyone catch the Doge move? Apart from me? Yay, self-fillet showtime. Not looking good, bruv. Not looking good. I think genuinely that's one of my favourite memes. And actually the one I posted today about KYC just has me in tears. Like, genuinely, us Brits have some classically wonderful people living on our island. If Bitcoin goes, it all goes. Yeah, it's all beta, isn't it? Trying to re-enter. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I did catch the Doge long. I was very, very lucky with it, to be honest with you. It was just nice timing. But yeah, should we Should we jump into some thoughts? Feels heavy. Legacy will drag us down. Yeah, I mean, I'm of similar vibes. I just think that timing it is going to be quite hard. But hey, KYC is the bane of my life. Yeah, do you get answers like that? I'm Mr. Yes, exactly. We long the bottom, short the tops. I don't think I've ever had a trade that hasn't been like that, actually. I've literally made the bottom and the top. Yes, see, Michael Saylor just said it, there is no second best. I mean, you know, support like that, right? Rolling in. But no, to manage expectations reasonably, we don't do that very often at all. And you don't need to. But, yeah, before I jump into it, I'd just like to thank Delta Exchange for sponsoring the stream. You can check them out on the ref link below, somewhere on your screen. And yeah, let's jump into it. Let's go for a bit of a Bitcoin and ETH run through. Let's talk about some relative strength, interesting bits. And you'll see that I've tidied up. I've tidied up my, well, ish. Tidied up my little watch list, just for you guys. Just for ease of viewing, and a little bit for me, in terms of managing positions. And it's just a handy little tip if you didn't know already. You can just add a section in, and you can colour them, just in case you are colourblind as well and can't read a chart. But yeah, I mean, one thing that's really concerning me generally is that, you know, it's August, it's summer, it's low liquidity, we're all hyped up into the merge, but actually we're not really. Cantor and Clark did a good post on it yesterday, which is talking about, you know, is essentially SPX and TradFi dictating that, you know, we are risk on for a period, and yeah, we have pumped in accordance with that because we are now just a highly correlated beta asset. Which I agree with. The bit that I don't agree with is that stories and narratives are useless. And the reason that I don't agree with that is that stories and narratives are very useful in conjunction with other points of data to hypothesize about narratives and what narratives may or may not emerge. So the ETH narrative, the ETH merge, you know, when you started looking at, let's go to Spaghetti to really just demonstrate it, you know, the biggest returns over the last few weeks, it's been basically anything to do with that narrative. You've had OP, ETC, FLM's probably a bit different, CRV, Matic, blah blah blah, you know, it's very heavy. LDO as well, Lido's shown a lot of strength, so actually probably this is the one. But having that narrative to help support it, as long as it is reflected in price, sounds like a bit chicken and egg, and it kind of is to a degree. But narrowing down your focus and saying, okay, well, OP is strong. You know, I went days and days just longing OP, and that was my bread and butter for a small period of time, right? Let's jump to OP a second. Yeah, this move up was very, very strong, very, very good. And we've even got some meme shit stuff still left on the chart. And I've got the green dots at the bottom because BitBoy told me I'm an idiot if I don't long when the green dot is there. Big Dick Pappy. Can you explain why the merge is bullish? Yeah, go on, someone do it. Numbers go up. Custom colours on the green dots. No, I can assure you, I literally just put it on there for the meme. I was going to do a post before the stream started, but low-key forgot about it. So yeah, so what's kind of not keeping me awake, but what makes me think that this is towards the end of the trend is we've got quite a lot of divergences present on things like 3-day Renko, which isn't locked in. What you'd want to see is that the first, even second red little bar there as momentum starts falling. It doesn't give you a very good sign, it doesn't give you good entries because you will need price to move a fair bit for it to print said bars. So from a trade entry and systematic perspective, it's pretty fucking shit, right? You're not going to get good entries off this unless you are taking very, very wide swings, right? And you are having, quite aggressive targets. But from a momentum perspective, it does help say that, objectively, the market is slowing down in terms of momentum on BTC. The same isn't true on ETH. We are still quite strong, and that goes back to this whole narrative, ETH, high beta BTC, blah blah blah. Essentially, a very, very strong uptrend. Now, when that starts to wane is when I think we will have quite a strong pullback across the board on alts, and this is why I've marked out some potential longs and some potential shorts, so that I've basically got bags of, I can do whatever I want. If my macro view changes for whatever reason, though I don't think we've got many major TradFi events coming up in the next couple of weeks. I think we've actually got quite an empty calendar. I think it'll be interesting when we get back into September and we start seeing the impact of, essentially liquidity potentially coming back to the market. Did CBS put me into Renko? Yes. Yes, he did. So I was in CBS's group back in 2018, and that was part of my transition from like a completely retarded speculator, and that's probably a nice way of putting it, buying coins because there was a logo change, to once I'd lost a load of money, I thought, right, I need to start taking this a little bit more seriously, because it has the potential to earn huge amounts of money, and I did do that in 2017. I just failed to keep a lot of it. So yes. So Renko is really good. So all it does, I've got a whole video on YouTube on it, but it just condenses price movements in periods, and it changes them into these little boxes based on your tick size. So you can say box size of 220, so it has to move $220 up or down to print one of these boxes. And as you can see, it's a very strong sell-off, and it just takes all of the noise out of the chart, really. If you look at the same thing on BTC, that versus that, that's what we're on, sorry, 3-day. I suppose it's not a great example. But yeah, takes noise out. And yeah, I mean, a lot of my trading, as people who know me, is about momentum, it's about extremes, and it's about relative strength. And by relative strength, I mean spaghetti. So, yeah. But back to the kind of overview, I guess, of BTC and ETH. I'm not too concerned about ETH, but I am concerned about BTC. I am in a little short at the moment. It's not a good entry. It's 24,100, I think. It's literally here. Yeah, it's there. And it's not a comfy position to be in. Rationale being partly this, and partly the fact that I opened it up over here somewhere. Looks like a chart for special people or Renko. Wow! I don't think I've ever heard it be called that. Why does it look like a chart for special people? What do you mean? What do you mean it looks like a chart for special people? Fucking hell. Ugh, thoughts on Doge? We'll get to Doge in a minute, mate. Nice to see you, Lowen. Yeah, Charlie triggered. I've just been absolutely owned in my own stream by chat. I love it. Yes, I'm not fading ETH at this point. My thoughts on ETH in terms of triggers is, what was I doing all this nonsense for? That was it. I was explaining the classic setup that I love, which is you get a strong, fairly inefficient move up. You start to consolidate, you take that high, you move down, and then you sell off again. And that is literally exactly what happened here. I think we went through that setup on last stream as well. And that is literally this. So, take that there. But yes. I would potentially be interested in shorting a breakdown of this, but because what I like to do is I like to take trades at extremes, and we can kind of ignore the green dots. So I like to fade a strong move that's giving a divergence at a level, and at the moment, like this is just, this is kind of like a 50-50 directional bet as to whether it's going to continue the trend or whether it's going to start selling off. So I'm just not interested in diddling in this consolidation, personally. And I'm not going to be down on the 5-minute chart trying to scalp, what's that, $60 range. Like, fuck that. Fuck that for a bag of potato chips, right? Why even bother with that? Hey, koi fish farmer. Eats a mad chop. Yeah. And, they're for me, it's just not where the opportunity lies, personally. Like I said, I would potentially join a short trend, but it's quite difficult when there's just no clear signal for me. Like I said, like trading at extremes or clean levels. And I'm not too concerned from a momentum perspective. So the way I'm playing the market, as you will all gather, and as I'm sure you know, is my classic cheap hooker strategy. In, out, make your money, and fuck off. PL on Bitcoin has been great for range traders. Yeah, it has. It really has. It really has. But, I mean, for me, there have been a couple of, not obvious, because obvious makes it sound like a hindsight larpy shite, but there have been a couple of high EV plays, Doge being one of them. Let me just take this shit off my ETH chart, because it's so messy. I mean, I would quite like us to get to sort of the 2-1 level, print some form of higher time frame divergences, and allow me to enter a trade off a clean setup, because there's nothing clean about all of this that we're doing, for me personally. Let me just delete all this shit, shall I? Alright, so I want to see some momentum divs, I want to see high time frame levels, and I want to see some reason to sell that isn't a fucking red dot. Alright? Because I do believe that we are going to sell off. I do believe that we're going to have another leg down. I don't believe that it's going to be in the next day, 2 days, anything like that. I don't have a clear view as to time frame, but I do think that we will get it at some point. Despacito piano, yeah, it is the same playlist as last time. I do apologise. I could have put some more effort in. So yeah, for me, there's nothing tradable here, but for you, your systems, there very well could be. Looks like Doge is on the move again. Wonderful. Any shitcoins I'm looking at? Yeah, everything on Doge chain, mate. I've just put, 10 grand in each one. Hope I don't get rugged. One of them will go to infinity. No, that is not financial advice. Like, if you do dabble on the Doge chain, then please just do it with shekels. Fuck me. Like, I'm gonna go on a little rant because I can't help but not say it, right? It is the classic fucking example of, like, I'm just gonna spin up a shitcoin and I'm gonna rug a few $1,000s off anybody who is willing to ape that shitcoin. Did Dogechain rug? No, Dogechain didn't rug. But there are rugs on there, is my point. So if you go on there now and you start looking at, let me just find the bloody thing. Right, let's have a peep. Reign over Doge. 30 seconds. Doge Gold, Mini Doge, Doge Book, Doge Grow, Go Doge, Pump It Up, Bones, Poo Doge, Dogeritos, Doge Shrek. Come on, lads. Did you not go all in, Doge Shrek? Market cap 17.23 billion. big yuzu. Like, fucking hell. Like, this is what I mean. I love the freedom of crypto. I love it, and I am a firm believer in decentralization. I think people should own their own assets. I hate the fact that banks can stop me from spending £2,000 on a fucking computer of my hard-earned cash. It is ridiculous. I firmly believe in self-custody of assets, and I firmly believe that people should have the right to choose where they invest their money. But when we start looking at shit like this, you know, what the fuck is all this? All in Pinky Doge. Doge Punk. Insane Doge. Like, how do you differentiate from these bits of shit from other bits of shit? Yeah, what a brilliant idea, Charlie. Could do with a few $1,000s, calling my developer friend now, busy night ahead. Right, that wasn't advice to go out and scam people either, because there is this wonderful thing called karma that bites people in the ass. And yes, people will still be people, but, like really? Like, fucking hell. I just... Ugh. Got a little alert, what's going on? Sand breaking down, I assume? Yeah, so this was one of my potential shorts that I was gonna talk through, and the only reason that I'm probably not gonna take this, obviously. What I wanted to see was just sand shit the bed, basically. It's at this high time frame, very pivotal level. It would be a quite aggressive swing short for me, and you know, targeting losing this level, but I'm just not going to do it. Let's see. Yeah, no, I'm not taking that. Fuck that. For a bag of potato chips. I will exercise my discretion instead of trust my past self. So we can move that out. That's one less thing to talk about, sadly. But we did talk about pump it up to the moon, mini doge, etc. Take a look at Doge change. There was a sandbox unlock. Oh, fair enough. I think, you know, for me it was just about literally big meme level throughout. Lose it, and it's probably lights out for sand. It showed nearly fuck all relative strength throughout any periods that I can remember. You know, it's been consistently down here in terms of return versus BTC. So in terms of a short candidate, whilst I'm looking to potentially long Doge again, that's fine. That's a fine pairs trade for me. So yeah, is anyone actually on Doge Chain? And is anyone, you know, doing it successfully? Triggers for a swing on Matic? I don't have any triggers. I nearly said twiggers. Twiggers for a swing on Matic. I don't have anything. I think last stream we talked about, oh, you can see the notes from the last stream. Talked about, you know, meme channels, deviation, up here. Talked about if you want to play trend continuation, then that's kind of how I would have done it. I haven't traded Matic in this period. How would I swing it? There's no green dot signal, so BitBoy would tell me off. Like, I mean, it's actually not a bad example of momentum, or dying momentum, in terms of, like, God, I've got too much shit. I'm going to have to take the green dots meme off, but that's what it's called if any of you actually want to meme the BitBoy shit. Anyway, in terms of momentum, so I'll just delete all this crap as well. It's not clean, it's not clear, but this isn't like an actionable div in terms of how it's structured, but you can just see that the upthrusts are just getting smaller, weaker and weaker, And I wouldn't be looking for a swing long on this. Not at all. Not at all. It would take a lot for me to flip my bias. Doge chain must have just come out. Yeah, it has. And I mean, it's going to be the same as like BSC chain, right? People are going to launch hundreds of scams a day. It's going to be one of those wonderful things where you see the story of somebody somewhere turned $500 into 5 million, and everyone thinks that they can do it, and there's probably going to be a little bit of a frenzy. The frenzy will last a couple of days, I think, maybe, and will basically take the last shekels of the remaining people left in the market. And I think that this is going to be like the sign of there are 4 phases, I think, in one of the old school influencers model, a guy called Secrets of Crypto, and 1 is, I think, Bitcoin, 2 is ETH majors, 3 is mid caps, like mid caps, yeah, mid-ish, and then 4 is just fucking any old shit, basically. And if you're telling me that Doge isn't in number 4, as in everything on Doge chain, then yeah. And the idea is that the capital rotates through these phases, which would imply that we're there. Now, it didn't work like that particularly well in 2021. It was more fucking everything would just go together, right? But it's still not a terrible framework, I don't think, in these conditions where everything isn't pumping. We are not in a ridiculous up-only meta where you wake up and coins are up 10 to 20% a day. We get one coin that does a 10% pump and everyone on Twitter longed it. Everyone's talking about it. It's very, very different. So I kind of feel that we are closer to this and closer to the next leg down than we are any form of up-only super cycle. But I do see a lot of takes that are, get ready for the most hated rally ever. Yeah. For those people, I would suggest that, let's have a look. What were our lows? It was the 13th, wasn't it? That was the actual lows on BTC. Maybe not. But 2x's, 3x's across multiple altcoins. It's probably a good bear market rally. I wouldn't get too excited and think that we're heading to the next super cycle personally, but yeah. What camp am I in? Bottom is in, it might range for a while, or can we make new lows? New lows. But I'm not going to say when that is. Typical cringe-fluencer type response of, I think the market goes lower. I don't think it goes lower necessarily now. I think we've probably got a couple of weeks minimum of a little bit more leniency, and then we'll see what happens in September, really. And as long as you're playing both sides, Apple down 5% from all-time high, easiest bear market ever. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's my bias of like a mid-term, I guess. Short-term, just play rotations on an intraday basis, and longer term I am bullish on crypto. Once everything starts going back to, the Fed will eventually pivot to a QE type roll, right? It won't be tightening, or at least it won't be tightening, let's put it that way. And when markets start going back into a strong uptrend, then I think there will be a plethora of opportunities in crypto once again. I certainly don't think that is now, but that's my opinion. You do with your money whatever the fuck you want. What's the chart called? It's not really got a name. It's called spaghetti. That's what a lot of people do. All you do is type stuff in there that you want to compare and add to it, or you take this that I will dump in chat for you now, because I'm such a lovely person like that, and you can use that. Just make sure I mute myself, otherwise you hear me twice, and I get to hear my awful, awful voice. So yeah, it's a good question, but that's where I'm thinking. The issue for me is obviously positioning to the short side is far less fun than positioning long, and yeah, generally it's plus EV to be long in crypto, purely because, especially with alts, the rotations can just be absolutely phenomenal, as we've seen on multiple alts over the last few weeks. Bro Doge, literally N69. I don't know what N69 means. I'm obviously a boomer. I thought I was going to say N64 then, as in like a Nintendo 64. Again, potentially showing my age. Yeah, we're actually starting to see a bit of a slowdown here. Is this a lower high? Do you want to fade that? I'm personally not going to fade the fuck out of this at all. I'm just not interested in shorting Doge. There will be chads that catch it, but meme coins and shorting meme coins is, in my opinion, playing with fire. So, yeah, I would much rather try and join a trend and try and join a Doge long for all the degenerates out there. Do you think we will see coins make SHIB or Doge next cycle, if we do have another cycle? So, as in, will we see those kind of returns? So, I guess there's two parts to that question. Will we have another cycle? Yes. Human greed is infinite, right? And that's what I'm basing it off. But the fact that everyone here is waiting and everyone is kind of ready for the next cycle, everyone is just preparing, everyone thinks, oh yeah, this is so good, oh, I can't wait to buy Bitcoin at the lows. The fact that people are so bullish and the fact that people still have hope is why I'm or partly why I'm a little bit more bearish. And that's a good thing, because I would much rather buy, let's be brutal, shall we? I would much rather buy down here when everyone's crying about being chopped up in $100 range for a week than I am in this, right? Meme fucking triangle, whatever you want to call it. Right? I would much rather be buying down here where Twitter, there's no engagement, nobody gives a fuck about Bitcoin anymore, Bitcoin's dead, crypto's going to zero, lovely. This is not accumulation, right? That is not accumulation. It wasn't like that last cycle. What do you mean? What, in terms of daily movements? Or it being dead? I mean, I don't know, maybe it's just my engagement on Twitter was fucking terrible because my content was terrible. I mean, arguably still is, it's just 90% memes. But, we certainly had days where you'd have like a 0.5% rotation on BTC. I remember them vividly. Crypto was dead down here. Fucking dead. Oh, people were preparing for the next run, but I think it's just everyone's so positive that it's going to happen. In fact, when we had the sell-off down here, there was a lot of stuff, everyone was saying, oh, it's going to go to 10k, oh, it's going to go to 6k, oh, it's going to go wherever. I think we memed 6k on this stream, didn't we? That was our generational bottom somewhere. But yeah, I just think that there's a huge level of optimism. But regardless of that, I'm not trading off sentiment particularly. It's just an interesting observation. I would rather see some form of accumulation pattern. That's not accumulation. They gave up eventually and quit. Yeah, they did. And even the fact that this is probably a good example that I don't know how many coins have been launched in the last 24 hours, but the fact that there's probably been hundreds, if not thousands, of these things launched shows that there's still a lot of scammers in the space, still a lot of people that can make a quick buck, and it's worth doing. When it gets to the point where it's not worth doing, loads of people will start leaving. The bots will leave, the engagement will drop, no one will be fucking interested. And that's when, max fear kicks in, and it's that whole like fear and greed thing, isn't it? But I'm just ranting about shit now. Because I'm not trading off fucking sentiment. Because people are going to leave the stream and be like, he's trading off sentiment with BitBoy's green dots indicator. Yay! And that's not it. But hopefully that's given you like a clearer view of my macro thesis. Do you think we will have an Arbitrum season this year? No idea, to be honest. I'm a little bit hesitant on the basis of I think that any form of, no, I'm just going to say no. And I'll leave it there. I think the massive dilution of capital, with then being too many options, not much left in the space, this being a good example, I suppose, of how we're just going to dilute it even more. I don't think so. There might be a couple of things on there that do well, but it's not going to be an area that I'm super excited about. I'm just going to continue playing altcoin rotations. There we go. Doge is off. See, well, I talked about fading or getting short based on a lower high or some meme like that. It's just I personally hate fading meme coins. Lovely. Thoughts on SHIB? It's very discouraging that SHIB isn't completely following Doge. I would hope that it does now, and that's not an excuse to go yeet it, but one would hope that the correlation isn't completely lost. But you compare that to Doge, like, it's pretty obvious which one you should be longing or looking for positions on. Now, there's a lot of chat about whether you play the laggard, whether you are trying to rotate into the next pump. And now, for me, with Doge has its own little use case. And yes, SHIB might catch the kind of beta bid, which it looks like it's doing, which is wonderful. But it's certainly nothing like the old doggo coin. Well, it is going. So for me, I've been looking for positions in Doge. Now, I took my positions this morning, I closed out for a nice gain, and that's kind of me done. I prepped a little bit for the stream, not as much as I probably should have done, but I did, and that was it. I personally would just want to play Doge. You could have obviously just caught a nice little move on SHIB as a catch-up play, but all I would be looking for at the moment is just Doge plays. And that's largely because I haven't got the will to trade huge amounts at the moment. I think last stream I've mentioned that I've been trying to make a little bit more of the summer with my 6-year-old daughter, and tried to set some alerts, let trades come to me, identify levels and extremes or setups that I want to see, and I'll talk you through some of those in a minute. Just so that I'm not sat at my computer all day. And I would encourage other people to do the same. Like, these are not generational opportunities, I don't think, particularly where they are now. Maybe generational short opportunities, we'll see in time. Are you betting more on Doge or SHIB? The short version of what I just said is betting on Doge more. And the reason is just absolute return over the past X period. So, to illustrate, are you betting on Doge or SHIB? Well, which one would you bet on? That one? Or, I don't know where it is. There. So, it's really up to you, and you can play SHIB for the catch-up play if you want. But the issue in my mind is that from a narrative perspective, and this is whether you believe narrative drives price or not, it's this shit. It's this people wanting to make it all back in one trade, this desperation around a bear market rally of I can make 100x because I saw some cunt do it with $100 on Doge Chain. Half a CT have gone onto Doge Chain and they're bridging. Like, one of the guys in the group, Cringe, was doing it last week, and he is up bigly in percentage terms because he front ran everybody. But yeah, like, that's the narrative that's driving Doge, and probably the only thing that's driving SHIB is that beta bid of they are similar, they are dog coins, let's go. So I want to be long Doge. It's the very short answer to what you just asked. I think last stream I actually talked about how shite Doge was in terms of every other chart had broken out and cleared this previous pivot, this breakdown, and at that point Doge hadn't. Now, as with all of these, like, really easy to say in hindsight obviously, but you can play the laggards and assume they're going to break out and catch up, or you can just play strength. I generally prefer to play strength, so I will miss 9 times out of 10 the initial move. But as soon as it starts appearing on this, that's kind of when it plops onto my radar. Am I supporting AVAX or Polygon? I mean, like, when Doge moves, like, so let me just frame what I'm saying. My average trade time at the moment is about an hour, right? That's all I'm holding positions for. So if you're comparing my view of something like AVAX with your swing position that you got in from $20, you are doing it wrong, right? I am looking on a 5, 10, 15 minute basis for a trade opportunity that I can take. I can make some shekels out of it or lose a small amount and then fuck off, right? That's all I'm doing. I'm not doing anything particularly glamorous. So when I'm saying my opinion on something like Avalanche, which is it's lost pretty much all of its relative strength, nothing particularly exciting. If I really wanted to swing it, I could. Well, could I? Not really. Meme levels, maybe? Again, I'd kind of want to see a low time frame sell-off that's being bought up. I'd want to see some form of divergences. I'd want to see some sign of strength. This is what I mean, is there's not a trade there for me all the time because I like being at those extremes, because then I'm invalidated really quickly, or it goes my way really quickly, right? And it's not necessarily about time, but it's just, this again is just noise. I can treat it like a range if I want to, and say, okay, as soon as we start getting some form of move up, I'll play it up to here. But yeah, there's just better trading opportunities out there for me. Did you suffer from bear market PTSD in the beginning, on the last bull cycle? Yeah, probably. From a trading perspective, I did, but the way that I structured my trading was I had, I'll probably get this wrong, but I had 25% trading. I'll write it. So I had 25% trading, and that was mostly swing alts. I had 25% Bitcoin, ETH. I had 25% investments. So that was things like Rune, things like Tomo, etc., etc. And then I had 25% scalping, like very low time frames. And in all of that, like 1% of my investment stuff was on like NFTs. And basically that was like a 1% fun fund where I just fucked around, and unironically it ended up being a huge part of my portfolio. But yeah, so from a trading perspective and swinging alts, I definitely let go of some far sooner than I should. From an investment perspective, I definitely went balls deep, and I held on some of those longer than I should. But like Rune, for example, I've still got a bag of Rune that I could have sold for $20, and it is now on my potential short to zero list. So yeah. It wasn't $20. Oh, it was 20. Yeah, 20.9. There you go. So yeah, from a trading perspective, it's quite difficult to adjust your mindset to the conditions unless you've got very objectifiable data that says, this is where you go hard, this is where you risk more, this is where you do this. And it definitely took me time to build that, and to build confidence in that system, to build confidence that actually from a trading perspective, I can hold, like if a coin does this, that drawdown would usually have been enough to shake me out, right? Whereas if you combine that with whatever you want to call it, some form of trend following system, where even if it's just as simple as an EMA, right? Until you lose that EMA, you don't fucking sell it, right? Until you lose that EMA, you don't sell. Like, Thorchain might be a good example, I don't know. But what have we got? We've got a daily 33 EMA, and yeah, okay, you would have sold it there. But ridden it up from, I think my average was like 38 or something. Yeah, this is obviously futures. This was, I think my original buys were like 3 cents. But yeah, being able to hold, even though you would have just got fucked before all of this, yeah, that still would have been a better swing than some of my first swing trades of the last bull run, sorry. Can you recall when you realised the bull had started after the last bear? I mean, the biggest sign... Let's just take this shit off. Let's delete all this crap. I think the biggest and most obvious point was just when we started doing just basically up only. But it wasn't just that. Yeah, you had, I'll draw the level here, it's not particularly clean. But basically this, where you just had this upwards accumulation, and it was just, savage. And as soon as you broke past previous all-time highs, it was just, huge macro game on. Breaking out here was probably the first major sign. Because there was a lot of chop and noise in this, even though everything basically just, went multiple X's off the lows, whether it was Bitcoin, whether it was certain alts. But yeah, for me it was probably around this stage where this was like, okay, this is actually going somewhere. Because I expected this to deviate and just go, yeah, fuck you. We're staying in some form of like infinite range forever. And we're just gonna piss you off while you're all stuck at home trying not to catch COVID. Can you recommend any good trading books? I can, but I can't really be bothered, to be honest. There's anything by Mike Bellefoy, One Good Trade, stuff like that. Market Wizards. Trying to think. I'll have a think. If you DM me, I'll have a think. But yeah, let's go through some thoughts. Potential longs. So Doge, basically looking for any excuse to get long. I'm not going to go into too much detail on this, because I know that some people will get absolutely fucked on it, and it is a kind of active in-play chart. But yeah, TLDR, I want to get long on it again. So I'm waiting for some form of signal to get long. SHIB, not particularly interested, but it is in my list of maybe this goes. We should see that on low time frames, right? We should see a rotation into SHIB if it's going to happen, and we can position into that. Okay, not that difficult. Theta is another one where we are actually at quite a nice high time frame area, almost like is this a deviation, or are we actually going to come back and try and break out of said range? And if we do, then I would like a long position in that. Very, very simple, very, very clean. It's just a range play. It's nothing more than a breakout, retest, off we go. Okay. ZEC is another one, and this is a bit more memey, so bear with me. But I have noticed on lower time frames that it's had not bad relative strength, and this is one of those things where you go, like, is this the start of a new ZEC uptrend? Is there some form of narrative or something going on? Or do I just want Barry to reply guy me and smile at me? Maybe. But it is on my list, and if we got a nice little pullback, or if we even if we just consolidate here, I'll probably open a little position, just with a stop down here somewhere, just to try and preempt a move. But it has shown on quite a few rotations a bit of strength with these moves, so it wouldn't surprise me. So it's a very low conviction play, I would say, but it's very much on my radar. Let's delete some of this shit. ETC's one where, let's have a peep. From a daily perspective, we've got a slight momentum loss. I would quite like to see a triple div up to here. One final move, and find on low time frame a reason to get short. There's probably a 10% chance that happens and that I get a trade. The other potential opportunity is literally just shorting a breakdown, but I'm not really in a shorting a breakdown kind of mood because I'm not sat at the computer 24/7. So short it at your own shorter breakdown at your own peril. OP was a similar thought process. Let me just delete some of this rubbish. Again, it would be shorting a breakdown down here, but I'm actually going to take that out because that's fucking shite. And RSR, I actually had triggered earlier, which was a bit of a shitter because I didn't actually take it. I was eating my lunch. And the thought process here was literally, we have this fairly solid level, and I wanted to see a move up, a much slower move up than we actually got. Let me just delete this crap. I actually wanted to see a slow grind up, and we just got this. And I want to see it start dying, but it's kind of already played out. So unless we get another retest, that's kind of it. And for Rune, I was looking at a final push up and then it just dying. One thing from last week's stream that I talked about Ape, and I talked about how I'd like to long this. I didn't take any trade on Ape actually, but it was a really nice example of where, one thesis of getting long, actually, there was nothing there, no reason to get long, it was just a solid sell-off. But retesting these levels and shorting would have been wonderful. And flipping a bias is something that not a lot of traders do, and they don't do it often enough. Now, one thing that I'll talk about actually, I'll talk about it on stream, I might as well. I shared my thoughts about CPI and how I was going to play CPI. And if any of you tuned into Jim's stream last week, I was on there mollycoddling my entries and using you all's exit liquidity, obviously, because that's what we do. Need your shekels, otherwise I will be unable to exit my ginormous positions. So my bias going into the CPI print wasn't great. I didn't have huge, overwhelming long or short bias. Just the fact that if number is lower than CPI print, we are probably going to have a pump. If it is equal to, it's probably going to be slightly favourable. And if it's going to be much higher than expected, then everything's probably going to shit the bed yet again. And having that kind of plan and having that information available to you very, very quickly does give you an edge, and it does mean that you can either preempt or jump into positions. Now, I personally jumped into positions, and I jumped into OP and AVE, or Ave, as it's also pronounced. Ave. So let's just do this in chat, right? Type 1 if it's AVE, type 2 if it's Ave. I want to see what everyone thinks. Two. Wow. Okay. Alright, yeah, you gotta stop now, we've got 100% hit rate. Or one. Well, 2 ones. So it's Ave. Okay. I'll try and correct myself. Go to finishing school to 5. Yes, Lewin. Everybody type 1's not going to make it. I mean, to be fair, I'm the one that gave them the option of 1, and I gave them the poor pronunciation in the first place. So what I was watching on AVE was this, and bearing in mind this price action wasn't there at the time. So I was looking at this, I think I might have covered this on the last stream. And that, essentially. So again, that wasn't there, so it was this. So I was looking at daily momentum dying on a move up. And my theory going into the print was that if there was a strong alt that I wanted to short, then it would be AVE. And my theory was based on this, based on the momentum, based on kind of sort of levels here, it rejecting from pretty consistently, and the fact that we were up here somewhere, and then we sold off a little bit, we were here, weren't we? And what actually happened on the 10th, when CPI printed, was the exact opposite. Let's go to here. So what I was looking at was essentially the wonderful 1 second chart. I've probably whiffed the timing of this. I don't even know if TradingView is going to honour my replay. No, it's really not going to do wonderfully, is it? What actually happened on very low time frames spaghetti was AVE. Oh, fucking hell, I've done it. Ugh. Right, every time I say AVE, I've got to put 100 Doge in the swear jar. See if this will work. I guess not. What actually happened was AVE pumped, is the short version of it. AVE was essentially leading the charge on CPI data. So instead of shorting it, I longed it. Really simple, but really, it was on the 15, it was on the 1 second chart. Yeah, I longed it. And being able to change your bias. There it is, purple. Being able to change your bias like that and flip and think, well, I'm wrong on my trade thesis, but is there another trade here? Yeah, there you go, you can see up here. Bosh. Yeah, I didn't want to touch LDO, Lido, because the liquidity isn't wonderful. To be fair, the liquidity on AVE isn't wonderful. But yeah, I essentially flipped long on that short thesis and ended up longing OP and AVE. So OP and AVE. And yeah, it worked out pretty well for me. And then just followed it up in terms of low time frame trend and just tried to keep that entry for essentially as long as possible. And I ended up closing out most of it, pretty much the end of Jim's stream, which would have been, yeah, around here. How do you pronounce ape? Didn't Kobe tell the AVE guy? Ave, fuck me. He's pronouncing his own coin wrong. And he said sorry. Possibly. So yeah, I mean, hopefully this has been reasonably informative. I always feel like a little bit, like I want to come on and chat about the markets, but when I'm not in an active swing position, it always feels really weird. I mean, my short's doing okay now, but it's pretty fucking shit. See if that holds up. Not hugely convinced, but whatever. There is no second best. There is no second best indeed. So yeah, has anyone got any questions or anything like that? Or anything you want me to run through? think I quite like this format, to be honest with you. I think it makes it quite slick and easy. I'll probably stick with that in the future. How do you create spaghetti chart? I mean, it is literally go there, hit compare, go. There's a full video on my YouTube channel. I presume the link is somewhere below. If it's not, it's literally YouTube/BTC_Charlie, or it's in my Twitter profile or something. Interesting. Interesting. Have I started researching what I want to accumulate? Yes, I have. Yeah, I mean, I think this is one of the things, is that, like, you should be in a constant mode of research, and you should be in a constant, like, what do I want? What do I want to accumulate, and what am I looking for in terms of accumulation? I mean, OP was a really good example of where you actually had plenty of time to accumulate it if you wanted to, right? That's what I mean, like, that's an accumulation range. Like, what do we have here? Like, that movement there. Should we do it all? Yeah, let's do pretty much all of it, right? So, for 1 month, we had like a 30% range on an altcoin in quite a volatile environment. I'm just ignoring this because, well, I want to, right? It's just an illustration. Let's not get, you know, too concerned about the peak tops and bottoms, etc. But it's kind of like that. Okay, excitement's died, final capitulation, and then we start going up. Like, that's the kind of pattern that I want to be seeing on whatever altcoins that I want to be accumulating. And I will share my bags, because, you know, I need exit liquidity, guys, come on. That's obviously why everyone on Twitter shares their bags, because we need exit liquidity. But no, genuinely, I mean, I started my Twitter account as, like, a quote-unquote researcher of Trade Ogre. I literally shared a review of every single fucking coin on Trade Ogre. Every single one. Their pluses, their minuses, what I was putting money into, what I wasn't putting money into, why I wasn't putting money into those coins. People responded to me. It was all in a nice way. I was never saying this project's total dog shit. I was saying, probably not going to invest in this, guys, unless you can tell me why. So, yeah, like, I will do it, but what I don't want to be doing at the moment is saying there's this micro cap out there that I'm not putting my own money in. Like, that is just, I don't know. There are projects that I'm putting money in, that I've got money in, that I will continue to have money in. You know, Plutus being one of those examples. I have a significant amount of money in this. You know, it's not a small amount. And this isn't a blind shill, okay? I am partnered with them, so don't bite my fucking head off. But I have a reasonable sum in here because I get benefits for that. The same reason that I have a reasonable bag of FTT, and the same reason that I have a reasonable bag of BNB. And I'm happy to hold them to 0. Not that I think they will go there. I also have a reasonable bag of Rune, MLT, what else have I got? A few other bits and pieces all over the shop, to be honest with you. But yeah, they're my bigger bags. How'd you go with the research on the microcaps? The one you posted on Twitter? I started it. I haven't finished it. It has been summer, and I will finish it in September probably. I'm actually writing I've almost finished it. A fairly huge and comprehensive guide to basically all of my trading style for the group at the moment. It's a quite a lengthy set of slides which I'm going to have to break down to like 5-minute videos where I just say, this is what I do. Plutus only offer cards in the UK. They have recently expanded to the US. Did I say a Carla go to 0? Yeah, I did. But yeah, like I personally don't think this is the time to be deploying huge amounts of capital into spot bags that are your kind of forever holds. But if that's what you want to do, then by all means feel free. So yeah, I mean, I think that's probably it from me, unless anyone's got some well thought out questions. Where would I like to short if I'm not in a position? I mean, I've talked through a couple of shorts, but I mean, ideally, I'd have shorted here, obviously. For me, it would be about, let's just delete some of this shit off the chart, shall we? The big issue for me is I like shorting strength, apart from kind of the one that I'm in at the moment, which is just so I almost want some form of move up that I can smack down, right? I want to be getting in there. I will play some macro range breakdowns if I fancy it, but I would have to be here, and I would have to have alerts set, or just be actively trading, and just be basically marketing into the death of the market, right? Big Mag stream coming up? Yeah. So Magus is streaming in a sec. And what I will do with all of you wonderful people is introduce you to my good friend Magus, who will likely tell me that, or likely tell you, that everything you've just heard is horseshit. And he will talk to you about flow, volume profile, and lots of other nerdy stuff. Whereas I just draw lines on charts. And I look at momentum, and I look at relative strength. It's two very different approaches to trading. Let's raid him. How do we raid, and do we do something like, stickers or clowns or something like that? Because Marusha's got like a Marusha clown. How do we do that? Get ready for the Lucian, people. Classy raid. Right, come on guys. I've got no imagination. Right, I used to be an accountant, so I'm fucking boring. Right? One of you guys must have a good raid idea for him. What about how do you pronounce Arv? Ave. Or try and convince him that you pronounce it like Arv. Stop loss and profit. Oh, there's a clown, yes! Let's call Magus handsome. Yeah, but he probably is. Maru's clown, there it is. Arv. You never really stop being an accountant? No, you don't. That is the genuinely sad thing. And that is, I think I attest it to a lot of my ability to survive in the market and why I've lasted such a long time, because I have had very good risk management, and the fact that I've never been liquidated kind of shows that. Like, I've lost money on exchanges and all that kind of crap, like Cryptopia, and genuine rug coins, but it's always been a very calculated risk. And unlike the meme, I am pretty good at math. Ask him to yes, ask him to chart Hex. Ask him what volume profile looks like on Hex. I fucking beg you. Right, guys, well, thank you all so much for turning out. I'm sorry it's been a bit of a... I don't feel like it's been the best of streams. The next one will probably be just a shit, not to lie to you. Because, I'm trying to trade at the extremes, I'm trying to take less trades, I'm trying to have a better win rate and a better balance of life and trading, just for these summer weeks. When September comes, I've got a couple of decent surprises in store for people, and I genuinely can't wait to start pushing some different social media out, shall we say. But yeah, thank you all for coming, thank you all for your support, and I will now host my good friend Magus, where you can ask him about the joys of Hex. I will see you later.